cardiac rehab.
So, we'll see. But at least it's out. It's out. It's on the table.
When you're doing that, do you have anything?
Jackie will keep it on the table.
Yeah, but you have to monitor anything.
I've got my heart rate on here, so I'm trying to keep it under 120.
Yeah.
So you know.
But
You're not blindsided.
walking between about 3.5.
The only thing
elevation
differently,
just to see what it's that. Yeah, they might not agree with everything, but
I probably would have gone last time.
Trying to break the 4-minute mile or anything.
Yeah, me being there for no apparent purpose.
Yeah, you weren't even on the agenda. were you?
yeah, not me.
I thought he was going to put it on the agenda.
The way he left it with me as of last night, anytime I want on the agenda, all I gotta do is call him a week ahead of time and they will put me on the agenda.
Would you be so kind to pray for us this morning?
Yeah, sure.
Give you some time to reflect for a moment.
Yeah, oh yeah, thanks.
Okay. Good morning. This meeting of the Berry County Board of Commissioners is called to order. Will commissioners, staff, and guests please stand for our invocation and pledge of allegiance?
Heavenly Father, while we normally start the invocation with thanking you for another beautiful day in Berry County, we can probably question that to some degree, but in your infinite wisdom, I'm sure we need the moisture and need to be reminded about what Michigan winters can possibly look like. We thank you for this opportunity to come together for the good of Berry County. We ask for your guidance, your grace, as we and those that work alongside us do everything that we can to make Berry County a wonderful place to live. Amen.
Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. For purposes of attendance, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Bassett. Here. Carlton.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Getty. Here. Hatfield.
Here.
Smelker. Here. Tunison. Here. And Jackson.
Here. Reports from state and county officials. Are there any state or county officials with us this morning who would like to give an update to the board? Everybody here is on the agenda, but just looking around. Okay. Hearing none, limited public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes for any item listed on our agenda this morning.
Good morning. Doug Moore, Irving Township. Always remind members and guests, please speak into the microphone to use your outdoor voice. Also, this extremely cold weather is very important for the livelihood of trees. I quit heating with firewood, but a couple of years ago, you go into the forest and many of the trees are dying. So this cold weather is very important to the trees. Well, speaking of the microphone.
And because I can't hear, I don't know if this is going through. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking. Somebody came in and punched this off and shut it right off. And so people on the internet could not hear anyone speak after that. So thank you very much for turning that on, because my voice is echoing in my head so much, I can't hear whether this is working or not. But I just wanted to let you know there is a reason for the cold weather, just like there is a reason for mosquitoes. They feed other creatures other than us. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. There's a couple other folks here that are chomping at the bit. I'm Rick Moore, and I support this message. Talk to you all later.
We're ready to ask Carlton Center, where it's exceptionally warm right now. We enforce the rules. The question I'm asking is because the first public comment is going to be for items on the agenda. I don't recall anything that was said previously being on the agenda. So the rules apply to everybody or nobody? Your choice.
I hear you.
Okay.
That's it?
Well, I've got more coming.
Okay.
You need some coffee. Is it still on?
Yes.
Shelley Lake Irving, I'll try to follow the rules. Second comment, I will have comments on the Plung lawsuit and on the jail study. So, because I saw that on the agenda, so I can speak to that, right? That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment? Hearing none, approval of the written agenda. At this time, any member of the Board of Commissioners may ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda and placed under items for consideration. Hearing no such request, does any commissioner wish to change the agenda additionally? Hearing no such request, the agenda is approved as written. Various correspondence, does any commissioner have a correspondence they'd like to share with the board? Hearing none, consent agenda. Commissioner Tunison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item A, approval of January 13th, 2026 Board of Commissioner meeting minutes.
Support.
Motion by Tunison, support by Smelker for all items listed on the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed and a roll call vote is required. All those in favor vote aye, opposed vote nay. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Bassett? Aye. Carlton? Aye. Campbell?
Aye.
Getty? Aye. Smoker?
Aye.
Tunison?
Aye.
Hatfield?
Aye.
And Jackson.
Aye. The consent agenda is approved. Presentations. This morning, we have Sheriff Leaf with us to go over our 2024 statistics. As we discussed, slightly delayed, but you know.
Oh, I think the last time was delayed because you guys didn't get a copy of it ahead of time and something like that. Anyways, I kind of had the same thing today, but I can prepare it. I had the flash drive with me, so we can move on with it. Are you ready to go? Yes. All right. Go ahead and go through the first slide. And that's our mission, vision, and value statement. And then this is some of our accomplishments we had in 2024. And I keep reaching for my glasses. I got contacts in today. Trying to adjust my glasses. So uniforms, I don't know if I've explained this to you guys before. We went to the black uniforms. Every sheriff across the state here had a hard time getting the brown ones. We'd hire somebody, and we'd have to wait 6 months before we get these brown uniforms in. So everybody across the state, kind of like I said, we all had similar problems, so a whole bunch of us went to the black uniforms, and they have those in stock. So new trailer for the deer pickup. You wouldn't believe how fast those trailers go when you put those deer carcasses on there and everything that's seeping down into them. It wears the trailer out and gets to the metal, and even all the electrical stuff in there. So we got a new one of those. I think that's a third one in my tenure here. I got a new deputy approved for the Middleville unit. Middleville's not getting any smaller. They're growing quite rapidly. New in-car radios and new portables, those are coming. As we speak, Motorola's down there putting the in-car cameras in. That's going to be probably about a 2 to maybe 3 week process for them. So we'll have those ready to go in probably a month. And then, with you guys' help, we got this really neat Faro laser crime. What it does is it measures crime scenes and accident scenes, and when we're ready, and because it's kind of tricky for us to give you a demonstration because there's victims out there and stuff like that. When we get one that's more victimless, or we get permission from them, we'd like to show you a demonstration what things capable of and what we've been using it for here. So go ahead, next slide.
Is that accident reconstruction as well, or
yes,
is that just crime scene?
Accident crime scenes, yes. We're also, we can use it for emergency response to schools or churches. We can go measure the inside of the school and churches, and so we'd be better prepared going on in.
Great.
Then corrections training, the corrections officers training. There's 20 hours a year mandated that they have to have. Let me get to that. Some of the topics are the CPR and first aid. Those are stuff we do just about every year. Correctional law. And some of it's just a refresher from what's been law for decades. Then what we do is we go over if there's any new cases on it. Like the most common lawsuit we get in corrections is Eighth Amendment or cruel and unusual punishment. That's usually what you're going to see in corrections facilities when they get sued. Mental health, that's very important. We're seeing a lot more of that coming into our jails across the nation. firearms. We have to have our corrections officers when they're doing transports, they're armed transports. We're taking serious people from Berry County out to the prisons, and we go up and pick up people from other counties, bring them back down in here if they did a crime here and then went to another county. And of course, back and forth to courts. Use of force, again, that's another lawsuit waiting to happen, so we have to be able to keep our guys. Can you hear me okay, Rick? All right. Hi, I see you doing this, Mike.
I'm scratching my head.
Oh, I thought you were doing this, trying to get me to speak up. All right. Use of force, we have to do that every year, and basically it's getting our skills on up how to make an arrest. And what we're doing is we used to have this use of force continuum where you had to do this 1+1. So if they're trying to go hands-on, we could go to a hard, empty hand type of control. Or if they went to hard, empty hand, we could go to like a baton or something like that. So we go one-on-one. Well, now the courts are saying, no, just do what's reasonable and get the job done. So now our training is now shifting towards that. And custody and security, that's another one too, how to properly handcuff somebody, keep them under control, leg bracelets, ankles, the bellies, and now we even have some of the tasers, got some equipment out that we're waiting for approval from the state, that when you are accused of doing something wrong, you're innocent until proven guilty, so when you go up in front of the court, let's say you go into a jury trial, we're not allowed taking you from the jury in a jail outfit, because that already taints the jury, so they're allowed to have, to get dressed up for that trial. So, well, what we have is we have equipment that they can wear underneath, if they have a suit coat or something like that. We're just waiting for approval, so what it does is it zaps them if they get out of control. Any volunteers? Give a demonstration to you sometime. Online training, there's a lot of online training classes out there, and our state's starting to recognize those more and more often. And we got CTO is Correction Training Officer. When you get a new correction officer coming in, and corrections is different than law enforcement. Corrections, they got 1 year they could work with us, but in that year we have to send them through 160 hours of training through some type of academy. It can be all in one academy, or sometimes they'll break it up and do a week here, a week 1 month, a week another month, but we have to have that 160 hours of training. But then CTO is to make sure that they're going to be a good fit for Berry County and the way we do things here at Berry County Jail. Inmate admissions. It's kind of funny when you change a bunch of these laws. Excuse me. And a lot of them I did support, like arresting somebody on first offense DWLS, driving while license suspended. They made that into civil infraction, and if you get subsequent ones, then it goes up to misdemeanors and so on. So that was good stuff they did there, and that dropped the inmate population. They did a lot of work with a friend of the court, working on, rather than housing them, rather getting them a job rather than housing them so they're not working. And the way it worked in the past, if you were a dad and you were under the friend of the court, you didn't have a job but you got locked up in jail, well, those numbers still accumulated, the amount of time you haven't paid into that job, and then you pay your child support from there. We got 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We got a lieutenant, 4 sergeants, and 12 correction deputies. We got 3 housing areas. We got a maximum, minimum, and medium securities. Right now we've got, excuse me, I'll just explain something a little bit better for you. Last time I checked, we had 55 inmates in there. But we had 3 inmates that were tying up several cells. So we got 2 that are up for a murder trial. Well, we can't put them in with somebody else, because if they happen to harm them or something like that, we get sued, get in trouble for it. Even our corrections officers might even get in some criminal charges that brought up on them. So we have to keep them separate. So we've got 3 different units. One's got 4 beds, so they got a person tying up 1 bed, then there's 3 empty beds we can't use. Another one's a 6, so there's 5 beds there we can't use. Then we got another one who's not only in a more secure facility, but it's also our negative pressure cell. What a negative pressure cell is if you get somebody who has like the flu or the COVID or something like that, we put them in a cell and it brings in air directly from the outside, and it breathes, and just that cell breathes in and out the outside air. Otherwise, it circulates throughout the whole building. So that's some of the challenges we have right now with this inmate admissions and stuff like that. Again, if you got arrested for something, you're innocent until proven guilty, so we have to put you in a different class of inmates. And if you've been sentenced, then we can move you around to the inmates that are sentenced. All right, thank you. Maybe a little rundown of the facility over the years, 72 when we first started using it, the one that's sitting out there right now. 76, they became a full-fledged jail. Before, it was like a drunk tank with, oh, she didn't put how many beds are in there. 76, they made it into a full jail. Then in the 80s, in 86, 87, state law allowed us to double bunk people, because what they do is the amount of space you're allowed is done by square feet per inmate. Well, they allowed us to double bunk, and well, the HVAC system wasn't ready for that either. So that brought us up to the capacity of 56, then from 89 to 90, but they had these cells, and one ended up being an Eighth Amendment violation. We couldn't use it anymore. Just over the years, the courts have changed their tone on jails, so we knocked out a wall, added another bed, put a shower unit in there. So this is what we've done just to make room in that jail over the years. Next year, I believe you're going to see a little bit more higher population, daily population. Public fingerprinting?
Planning more arrests next year or something?
No, this year, for last year.
Oh, for last year.
You'll get that report sometime around July or August, so, yeah. Fingerprinting, we did 1,301 in 2024. I keep wanting to say last year. We fingerprint for concealed pistol licenses, school employment, adoption purposes. Sometimes the courts will send people down for mandatory prints, juvenile prints too. Go ahead, next slide. Inmate transportations. In 24, we did 602. Care, custody, and control, that's what the corrections officers are they're tasked with. So, like I said, if somebody does a crime here in Berry County and they move to another county, or we catch them in another county, we have to go back to that county and bring them back to Berry so they can face our court system here. Go ahead, next slide. Inmate meal service. As you see, it's $2.94 per meal. And gosh, I remember it was like $1.13 or something like that a few years back, but it doesn't get any cheaper. Okay, oh yeah, we got one head cook, and we got a regular cook, a full-time, and then we have a part-time cook. That's our staff for that. Go ahead, next slide. Here's your mental health care. We still contract out with a doctor. It saves us a lot of money. They specialize in the jails. So they're up to date on like the Eighth Amendment. There's certain medications you have to give them. And if you try and give them something else, the courts will tell us, no, you got to give them this stuff right here because this is what's approved. So other than that, when I first started, they were getting these top brand name meds. Well, two problems. One is you and I don't get those in our healthcare, and two, when they get out, they can't afford them. So the stuff that they need to help them keep them in line, they can't afford, so they end up back in the jail. So what we try and do is we try and get them into something that they can afford when they get on out, and that we can afford as a public. Forgotten Man Ministries. Actually, it's Reach the Forgotten now. They changed their name. Church Services. I forgot how many churches there are. There was about 83 churches in the county, and a lot of them want to come in and do services here in the jail. Well, you got to get training before you come on into the jail. A lot of time in churches, people are hands-on. They put their hand on your shoulder and pray with you and stuff like that. Well, you can't do that in the jail. Just the risk of somebody saying, oh, there was a sexual advance on me, and then what they're going to ask for is a lighter sentence, or they might turn around and sue us. So you have to be trained before you go on in there and do that. And that's what Reach the Forgotten does. Go ahead, next slide. Other inmate programs, community service when we can. The most we had with our community service over the past years was the friend of the court. We don't get many friend of the court people anymore. So we don't have anybody out at Charlton Park at the animal shelter and all that. We do use them around the jail, keeping the kitchen going, plus keeping the halls clean. Substance abuse education, absolutely, we're going to have that in there. Go ahead, next slide. Cognitive behavioral changing. We're trying to get them to change their thought pattern, so when they get back on out there, they're not in the same thought pattern that got them in there. Go ahead, next slide. Alcoholics Anonymous. That's been in there for years. Next slide. Here's our law enforcement division. I got the 4 sergeants. We got about 32 deputies now with the addition of Middleville. We're still trying to staff, I think, 2 more right now as we speak. We got an investigative unit, detective sergeant, the detective. They spend a lot of time on criminal sexual conducts, especially with children. The K-9, our K-9 handler's back to work. He had an injury, so he was off work for a little while. Then we got the 416 Secondary Road Patrol Program, and what that is a grant. It's a 416 grant from, I think it was 1981 or 82, and what the state does, they give us funding, and so we patrol the secondary roads to help prevent traffic accidents. And what you will see is the amount of traffic stops we do. When we get a lot of traffic stops, the number of accidents will decrease. When we're too busy, we can't do the traffic stops, the accidents will increase. And they used to fund it through traffic citations, but enough of us raised a fuss about it. For one, I thought that was improper, that you want to keep your job, you got to write traffic citations. I think there's a little bit of a conflict there. They finally decided to just go ahead and fund it outright. So the state is funding that without us having to go out and write traffic citations and get the money off of that. So go ahead, next one. Other way. Middleville unit, I got 1 sergeant up there, and they've approved us for 3. We've also have a reserve unit up there, and they do like the basketball games and parades and stuff like that for us. Next. Complaints, 9,117. Traffic accidents, 1,091. And again, deer are the primary reason why we have traffic accidents out there. 517 citations, 66 drunk driving. And then animal control complaints. I got 1 animal control officer, and he's handling 411 complaints. That's on top of all the other stuff he has to do too, inspections of kennels and stuff like that. 945 sex offender registrations. Next slide. And there's your enforcement statistics for the last 5 years. Questions on that? They're right about par. So, next slide. Again, now we've got MDLP is malicious destruction of property. You got larceny in a building, then regular larcenies. Larceny in a building is different than larceny from somebody's car. Retail fraud, shoplifting, home invasions, they're breaking into people's homes. And then violation of Controlled Substance Act, and that's going to be a downward slide because they made all those changes with the marijuana. Next slide. Here's your 20-year complaint history.
What constitutes a complaint?
A call from the public. They can either come on in, or we got dispatch here over here. So do we have a 13.2% increase from last year? Is that right? For law enforcement, and it was like almost 20% with fire and EMS.
Yes, a little over 12%. Overall dispatched a little over 12%. So all walks of public safety, we've seen an increase.
And it's been consistent like that for several years in a row.
Okay.
Here's your secondary road patrol statistics. That's at 416. I just talked about 1978 is on there, okay. And these are the secondary roads, they're not the highways. They also, if we need them for backup somewhere else, let's say I got a deputy who's going out to handle a domestic. Domestic's a two-person call. Those can go sideways, like we just had one a few days ago, go sideways on us. And anyways, we can pull them off that duty there and go back up other officers. Next slide. Here's your K-9 unit activities. Spend a lot of time training. That training is to help keep our liability down on it. Does the tracking and narcotic searches and people searches. Next. Marine Division. Marine Division, that's your law enforcement on the lakes. And that's funded partially by the federal government through the Coast Guard, some Coast Guard grants. And then some of it's funded by the state. Then, of course, we do some funding too with the county. You can't get around it. But inspecting boat liveries, conduct border safety. And, of course, there's 327 lakes in the county, and, of course, we can't patrol them all. We do most of them, because we had a lot of private lakes, too. Most of them are like the Gun Lake, Gull Lake, the well-populated lakes. Next one. Records unit. Gun registrations are going to go up to 2025 because they changed the law that we have to, it's not so much registration, we have to do the background checks even on long gun purchases now. And it went up substantially. So when you had to go get a purchase permit to go get a pistol, well, now you got to go get a purchase permit for a rifle. The difference is your pistol purchase permit you bring in, and we have to register it through the state. Long gun purchases, that's just your documentation that you sold it to somebody that can actually be in possession of one.
Is that shotguns, ARs,
Right.
any long gun, or?
Right, except for muzzle loaders.
Is that like if you go to Bob's Gun and Tackle, you have to have this permit before you buy?
That is correct, right?
Now?
Yes.
Yes.
You get that permit from the sheriff's department?
Sheriffs, if you live in the city of Hastings, you get it from the city police. Go ahead. Our records unit again. They do the filing of our police reports and stuff like that. There's some background checks we have to do. Sometimes the military comes in and they'll ask us to do a background check in our record system, see if somebody can be in the military. We get it with some federal agencies too. Freedom of Information Act requests. I've got what did I do with them? Here they are. Here's a couple samples. And this is one of those things we have to figure out, because if you pay attention, those are asking for body cams, and we don't even have body cams yet, or in-car cameras. So they've been asking for them for quite a while, and then FOIA requests. And those are going to be quite time-consuming when you get, especially multiple officers showing up at a crime scene, or any scene really, and people are asking for the body camera footage. So if we got 4 officers on the scene, that's 4 body cams. What we're working on right now is getting an earpiece in their ear, because we also have to redact the radio traffic. If it's anything coming across the radio, it has to do with LEAN, which is Law Enforcement Information Network. The public's not allowed to have that information, so we'd have to redact all that. So we're trying to get these earpieces in there so we can at least get the radio traffic off our body cams. It's all recorded anyways, but that helps us and saving us time on the redaction. The FOIA request right there, I forgot what Eric said he did last year. It was like 142. Last year we did 1,485 FOIAs. You get those stats. I didn't get the ones for 2024. No, I didn't see it on there. But 1,485. So that's anything from an easy traffic citation to sometimes when you get a FOIA, like I showed you guys right there, and we might have to go look several locations to find the information. So those are time-consuming also. And I think that's all I had for you. Oh, I'm sorry, posse. They put in a lot of hours again. There's 19 active members in 2024. 2 honorary. We just lost honorary member Mike Leatherman last year. Paid details, 944.5 hours. And paid details, they don't get paid per se. They get paid, it goes into the posse so they can pay for their uniforms and their training and stuff like that. Unpaid was 1,325.5 hours. And then monthly meetings, they have them the first Thursday of every month. They also helped us out with the big concert this last year, but we'll get to that next one. Our victim service unit, they're the ones who've gone out, and if you lost a loved one all of a sudden, they're the ones coming out and helping you get through that. And that's their pie chart. They got suicides, reported somebody who died, then accidents. So again, we got over 109 hours, almost 110 hours. And we're always looking to recruit for that. It's a rewarding job, but it helps us out at the sheriff's office immensely.
Those are volunteers?
Yeah, those are volunteers also, yes.
Well, I appreciate the thoroughness of that report with all the details. I like to see charts and graphs and numbers, and
So do I.
I put a lot of stuff together there for us, so I appreciate that. Do you see any trend changes with the average jail population right now being at 55?
What I'm seeing more is the mental ill, or all of a sudden everybody wants to fight with law enforcement. We just had like I said, just a few days ago, we just had what they call a Donnybrook, a big fight, and I can't give you any details because it's still going through the courts, but an officer got punched in the side of the head, another one got a sprained thumb, another one got a bruised up knee, and I sent you that report actually. And it just seems to be more and more frequent that all of a sudden we're fighting with somebody. And this time, the 18-year-old offered to fight. It was like, what?
Thankless job.
Questions from commissioners?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Thank you. Great report, by the way.
All right, thank you.
This is more organizationally now. You police Middleville now. How long has that been going on?
Oh, geez. 25 to 30 years, somewhere on that ballpark. Yeah.
Any other communities shown interest in the other villages, or we got places that kind of look like villages, but they're not, like Delton?
Oh, no, Berry Township has their own township police, and Prairieville has their own township police departments. So we work with them.
But there's none other that you more directly police like you do in Middleville, where you have staff there and all that?
No, that's the only one we contract out with.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Smelker?
If you arrest a veteran and you believe there might be a mental health problem there, is there a mental health for veterans person that comes into the jail?
First of all, we have mental health, but we also have, through the United Way, I forgot his name. Anybody? Steve, yes, thank you. We'll be reaching out to them.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mr. Tennyson? Commissioner Campbell? Oops, go ahead. Did you have something? Commissioner Hatfield?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Getty?
I appreciated the the listing of the corrections training and the work that they do to stay current. Do you have that same list for the other units?
Law enforcement, next report.
Oh.
They just started that in late 2024, but 2025 is when they put it into action.
Okay.
So we have to have 24 hours a year of special training. And MCOs will come out and say, well, we want this 24 hours, but we want so many hours in mental health training, or like last year it was dealing with autistic people. And we'll be getting some of that.
So do, like, the different units, like the reserves and the posse, and then is there another classification like auxiliary or others that you have deputized, or I'm not...
Yeah, auxiliary, it's funny because I had a lot of people wanting to join the posse, but they didn't have the time in their lives to dedicate to it, so we started the auxiliary. And auxiliary does the unarmed, non-uniform type task. Like in February, they got the church security summit coming up, and they put that together, and we get churches from all around the state and sometimes from other states come in and attend that. I'm expecting a large crowd after what happened over in the Flint area.
Are all of those, like CPR, first aid, are all of our officers trained and like keep their certifications for...
Like you were talking about posse and all of them?
Yeah,
Yes,
everybody.
yes.
Yeah. Great.
Okay. Commissioner Bassett.
The posse's changing over to these uniforms, but it's coming out of their own budget. So when do you guys start your drawing? Is that like in August? September?
Yeah. Usually the gun sale. Yeah.
Yes, it's...
It usually, tickets come out June, July.
Yeah, and that's how they've funded quite a bit of their stuff. So their own radios, uniforms, and stuff like that. So plus, when they get paid to do like the Berry County Fair, they get paid for being there all week. They can use that money for that type of training and stuff.
Well, after 10 years of buying tickets, I am still waiting for that first. Doing quite a few donations.
Well, I finally won, but I'm still in the hole, but I'm not in the hole. It funds these guys. So
there you go.
All right, thank you.
No, I appreciate the attention to the details there. I know you are right. There seems to be almost a national angst against law enforcement right now. So we appreciate what you guys do and the work to keep those guys safe out there and keep all our constituents safe. It's a big task, and it's not enviable to see that people want to go into law enforcement right now with all of that angst and anger and out there. So
I got one more question, Dave.
yes, sir.
You say that, I know Freeport has their own officer, and Berry Township, Prairieville Town, are they deputized by you and
just the chiefs?
Sworn in by you?
Just the chiefs.
Just the chiefs?
Yes.
Okay. But they are capable of backup if needed?
Oh, yeah, that's just through mutual aid agreements, yeah. In fact, got to double check, make sure we got everybody around us, and even in the counties. Usually we do several counties and mutual aid agreements, especially with our dive team and stuff like that. At Kalamazoo County, if we got to dive, they're always sending their people on up and their equipment, and yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
I remember those days, and when I first started, that they were asking to go to jail because they didn't want to face their dad. And I don't get that anymore.
Our mom. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Moving ahead with our agenda, items for consideration. The chair would entertain a motion for approval of claims in the amount of $254,973.07. Is there support? Is that Bassett?
Bassett.
Okay. Motion by Bassett, support by?
Getty.
Getty. Perfect. Motion by Bassett, support by Getty for approval of claims in the amount of $254,973.07. Additional discussion. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Carlton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Tunison.
Aye.
Bassett.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
And Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved. Next up on our agenda, Rachel France. We have a couple agenda items from Rachel this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. So the first is for the 2026 annual agreement with Kalamazoo to provide hazardous waste disposal services for our residents. Last year, we had 126 people use the service, and we were billed $6,083.30. So with this new one, we would like to up that to $7,500 for the year. The same thing will apply where they will bill us quarterly, so we're not giving them the money until they bill us. And then if we don't spend it all, we don't spend it all. If we go over, they'll send a request like they did this year for the Material Management Planning Committee to approve.
Okay, so this is a yearly thing we've been doing.
Yep.
And
Well,
when you say,
sorry, go ahead.
no, are we taking Berry County residents are actually going to Kalamazoo, or they're drop locations here?
They are going to Kalamazoo at the Kalamazoo Hazardous Waste Center inside the city of Kalamazoo.
And they have to provide verification or identification that they're from Berry County, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I think they just give their address because they actually provided us with this great map of where all of the people that have utilized the service have come from. I'll pass it around so you guys can look at it.
There you go. How many years have we been doing this contract now?
This will be the second year.
Okay.
And we're in conversations with Kent County to utilize one of their facilities at the South Kent landfill out on Byron Center.
Okay. Questions from commissioners? Pretty straightforward. The chair would entertain a motion for approval of a one-year contract with the Kalamazoo County Household Hazardous Waste Center to allow Berry County residents to utilize the HHW drop-off services for up to $7,500 in calendar year 2026.
So moved.
Support Campbell. Motion by Hatfield, support by Campbell for approval of a one-year contract with the Kalamazoo County Household Hazardous Waste Center to allow Berry County residents to utilize the household hazardous waste drop-off service up to $7,500 in calendar year 2026. Discussion. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Campbell.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Jameson.
Aye.
Aye. Carlton.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
And Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, Eagle Recycling Infrastructure Grant Proposal.
Yes, so we are proposing to purchase 3 cardboard compacting units to be placed throughout the county to provide cardboard-only recycling. The units are standalone. They will be outside. They will be completely fenced in and gated. We have some proposed locations, none confirmed yet. Johnstown Township and the Village of Nashville have both submitted letters of support to become host sites. So we're still waiting on a third. I'm really crossing my fingers for Carlton. I think that would be a good spot, or maybe Woodland. I've received 8 letters of support so far from the City of Hastings, Hastings Charter Township, Irving Township, Johnstown Township, Nashville, Prairieville Township, Rutland Charter Township, and then the Chamber of Commerce, who has also pledged $10,000 in matching funds to provide data for that grant. So we're requesting $199,200 from Eagle, and we'll be providing $39,840 in match, which brings us to 22% match, which is 2% higher than their requirement. The other forms of match will come from the Solid Waste Fund for up to $20,000 in concrete pads. Those will be required for host sites to have, as well as administrative time from my recycling contract, so funds that already we have.
Okay. When do you expect to hear from them?
That's such a good question. The grant proposal is due tomorrow. We as in the Conservation District, received a 319 grant, and we still haven't gotten our agreement for that, and that's been a few months. So if we are awarded, I would expect the timetable to start in 2027.
Okay. Party in slow motion, huh?
Always.
Okay. Questions from commissioners?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been brought up at many of my townships, all 3 of them, in fact. they're very supportive of it, but some of their concerns are what else is going to be dropped off. I've heard them say, okay, so we love the concept of it, but what about when people bring all kinds of different stuff down here and leave it? Who's going to be responsible for that? Okay, so that's some of the concerns.
Yeah.
And I can understand why, right?
Absolutely. And it's common in drop-off sites to have illegal dumping and things like that, which is why they will be required to be completely fenced in with operating hours that will be led by the municipality where it's placed. So with that kind of in mind, you would expect the municipality to be staffed during those times. Not necessarily out at the unit, but at least in the building. Some sites do have cameras, and we've also considered throwing that in there too, having some surveillance cameras put in. But additionally, the cardboard compacting unit itself has a small window for the cardboard, so you really can't put a lot else in there. But the idea is, and when we push this out with the mailings, it'll be very clear that this is cardboard only, and it's important for the program that it's cardboard only because that baled or compacted cardboard will provide rebates for the program. And if it's contaminated with other non-cardboard items, then we won't get as much money. So hopefully that passes on to residents and they understand that.
Right. I appreciate that.
Take a little education. Additional questions?
Just a comment that the Materials Management Planning Board heard that the cardboard is one of the biggest opportunities for reducing our waste stream, and so that's why Rachel's really concentrating on this and low-hanging fruit to really make a difference, and I'm really impressed that she tracks this stuff down and she works really hard.
Talking about the hundreds of thousands of Amazon boxes that are being delivered countywide on a daily basis?
Maybe some of those.
Maybe some of those, okay.
Yeah, a few of those. And they'll also be open for commercial and business participation as well. This will, no matter where they're located, they'll be open to all county residents regardless, and even outside of the county, because we'll take your cardboard, we're going to get paid for it.
Absolutely.
And it is also, I'll just mention this, it's modeled after Ionia County and Montcalm County have similar units. Well, actually the exact same units that we'll be purchasing if this grant is funded. And they've had good success.
Okay. Has it been a profit center for them by chance?
No, because they're collecting, they have cardboard units, but then they also have a mixed recycling unit, and there's really not much money in things like plastic or glass right now.
One more question.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When it's bailed up or whatever, who picks it up?
So we'll go out for bid. The hauler will be chosen through the bid process based on their proposals, but I can't say for sure. Granger is doing Ionia's, and I know that because they sit on our Material Management Planning Board, and then they take it to their facility. So it doesn't get baled, it just gets compacted in a 40-yarder.
Okay.
And then it gets baled from there.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I know from Johnstown out there was some concerns as to what exactly would be their liabilities here and stuff. So basically, they're just providing the site and possibly some people on site when it's opened.
Well, someone will have to open and close the gate, essentially.
Mechanicals, maintenance, and all that.
That sort of thing. They will have to report it. They'll have to let us know if there's an issue. And each host site will have a host agreement. The committee also discussed doing a $1,000 a year stipend for each host site to pay for the electrical and just kind of cover those costs. But yeah, they would be responsible for opening and closing.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. There are no additional questions. The chair would entertain a motion for approval to submit the Eagle Recycling Infrastructure Grant Proposal on behalf of Berry County to install 3 cardboard compactor units throughout the county.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Tunison, support by Hatfield for approval to submit an Eagle Recycling Infrastructure Grant Proposal on behalf of Berry County to install 3 cardboard compactor units throughout the county. Additional discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Getty.
Aye.
Smucker.
Aye.
Tunison.
Aye.
Bassett.
Aye.
Carlton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
And Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel. Keep us posted. I'm interested to see how that goes. So
I will. I'll submit it tomorrow.
there we go. Next up, Stephanie Lehman.
Good morning.
Good morning. I want to thank you for making our packet double or triple in size this week with all that information you packed in there. So
Sorry.
a lot of information.
Sorry.
All good.
Our service plan hasn't been, I'll just give you a little history. All 83 counties are required by the 911 Enabling Act to have what is referenced to as a service plan. Basically, it just lays out your 911 district, your jurisdiction, your agencies that you dispatch for, a lot of legal information, and the type of 911 center that you are. So a lot of communities have more than one. A lot of communities have secondary that do medical dispatch. We don't have that here. We're a centralized, meaning that we do all three disciplines and then variety of public works. So a part of the service plan requirement is that each 911 agency maintain a list of all agencies that are direct dispatched. Every 5 years, all 911 centers are supposed to be audited by the state 911 office for compliance review. We had not been audited since 2006, and we just recently went through an audit. The only finding from our audit is that we do not correlate our list to the service plan, and so the list needs to be added to the service plan as Appendix 4. In addition to that, there were some changes to the agencies that we direct dispatch for. Yankee Springs Township now has their own standalone fire department, and Mercy EMS has left, and Life EMS has replaced them. So those two changes were needed to our direct dispatch agency list. The resolution before you was drafted by Doug Van Essen. He does all of the legal work for 911, and the statute is specific that administrative findings can be done with a resolution, so a majority vote of your Board of Commission. Anything that would be different or outside of an administrative finding, like change to jurisdiction, a secondary PSAP, anything like that would require total opening of the plan, which is illegal and can be an arduous process. It does require public hearings and that type of thing, but we're not changing the work that we do. We're not changing any jurisdiction outside of those two agencies that we direct dispatch for, and then we need to correlate this document to the 911 service plan.
Awesome. Do they normally do an audit on a scheduled basis, or is this just one of those things for 20 years we just didn't think about it, or they didn't think about it?
So as the state 911 office has changed, the state 911 administration has changed, who is in that position. There's like 114, maybe 117 911 centers in Michigan, and they pull them at random to only do so many a year. It's kind of an involved process, and we hadn't been pulled since 2006. Actually, Charlie Nystrom was the director the last time and so we were at the tail end of the list, and so I was just waiting to be told that we had been pulled, and we were. So they look at all your finances, policies. It's an audit. So they call it a compliance review, but essentially it's an audit. So.
Okay, and just a couple of details to take care of. Everything else must have went through in flying color, so.
Correct. We did receive some praise and high remarks for the detail of our financial records, which is the most important part for that. So a recommendation on that, but nothing that was required or out of compliance.
We appreciate your leadership in keeping us up to date.
Thank you.
These little adjustments. Questions from commissioners? Okay.
Very good.
If there are none, the chair would entertain a motion for adoption of a resolution to add the appendix of agencies dispatched to the Berry County Emergency Telephone Service District Plan, 911 Plan.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Smelker, support by Getty for adoption of the resolution to add the appendix of agencies dispatched to the Berry County Emergency Telephone Service District Plan, the 911 Plan. Any additional comments or discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Smelter.
Aye.
Coniston.
Aye.
Bassett. Aye. Halton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
and Jensen.
Aye. The motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. Matt Ward. Matt with us. He is hiding back there.
I am back behind the constructed view seats in Tiger Stadium upper deck.
There we go. Stadium seating.
Hello. This is the time of the year where we come back to you and say those things that you budgeted or allowed us to budget for last year. Here are the details of what we would like to go forth and spend. So today we're here to talk about office productivity software. It looks like the county last purchased this in 2018 from the documentation we can see, and we are due to have it renewed. The cycles for Microsoft have moved from 10-year lifespans to 5-year lifespans on the products that they offer for productivity, which means we are forced to renew them more frequently. Of the two choices of either purchasing the software as a single one-time purchase product or moving to an extended subscription agreement system, we have found the cost to be significantly lower as a one-time purchase. For now, Microsoft continues to offer that. We suspect that their goal is to move away from that in the long term so as to charge us a yearly subscription fee. They like money, so. We find ourselves quite a bit under our initial estimate. We estimated roughly $105,000 for this purchase, and because of one department agency, the Road Commission, moving on their own, plus the needs changing there's two different categories of software. Most of our users have moved to the significantly cheaper standard version of the software as opposed to the professional version, which has quite a bit more expensive. So our total ask has come down to $63,000, and they're $63,439 instead of $105,000. So probably one of the few times I will come to you and say I need less money than I asked for previously, but
appreciate it. Thank you. So you're saying that the trend is to move to the Microsoft 365?
Yeah, some agencies are, I shouldn't say agencies, some counties have moved there. Those of us who are probably on the smaller end of the spectrum, the cost differentials are the most painful for us to do it. We looked at the cost, and it was going to be, for the same period of time, it was going to cost us over $160,000 more to move to the subscription model. So for us, that's a pretty substantial amount of money as far as software budgeting is concerned. So as long as we can, we will push that back and hold off on it. We have a small presence there that was required for us to get into our current email infrastructure. It required us to buy 25 licenses, so we will maintain those, but we were unlikely to want to move everybody in the county over until after at least the end of life on the 2024 product, which will put us out to October 9th of 2029. So this purchase will run through then. There are a few extra licenses added to this purchase, so if we do get a new employee here or there, we can add those folks into it, but I think we have set up 5 extra licenses on the standard agreement and only 2 licenses on our professional, more expensive tier. So if we get somebody who needs access to those features for their job, we don't have to go immediately back and purchase more for that. We try to keep the numbers as close as we can. We don't really want to spend money that we don't need to.
So this is for January 1st, 2026 through October of 2029?
Yeah, end of life on this is October 9th, 2029 is Microsoft's end of life on this product. So yeah, it looks like we also, when we purchased the 2016 product, we did so in 2018, so it was also partway through the cycles. The cycles never line up perfectly for us. But yeah, if we are in a spot in 2029 where I suspect what's going to happen is Microsoft continues to increase the prices of their single purchase offerings. I suspect they're going to get to the point where it's basically the same cost to do both, and that will be their reason being for why you should just make the jump. Or they're going to continue to shrink the lifespan of the on-premise product until they no longer offer it, so you're really without a choice. And it's painful for us and a lot of other small municipalities because these are the software products that the industry basically demands we have to do the kind of business that we do every day. But the companies that are in charge of the cost don't really look for feedback. They're driven by, dividends and other factors that don't really care about local budgets. So we try to find the least expensive way to implement the software people need, but unfortunately, least expensive is not free. So,
questions from commissioners?
I have a quick question. please. So it says here it's only for COA, Transit, and Charlton Park, so the other areas, their licenses aren't up for renewal?
No, what we tried to express in the agenda request form is that those agencies, and I see Transit's here today, we've talked over with those agencies. Their funding source is different than our funding source for just general fund departments. So we are purchasing on their behalf, but they will be asked to submit dollars back to the county's general fund departments to cover the cost of that. And just because the pricing is more advantageous for larger amounts of that. So for the Transit, I believe we worked it out with them that their total need is 10 licenses. The Commission on Aging has 13 licenses, and Charlton Park is estimated to have 7 licenses, although there's a couple people out there that are potentially general fund pays for, I think, Dan and part of
Dan and Ron.
So yeah, there's some question on that. So those 2 licenses are questionable about where we're going to end up finally billing them, but that's less than $1,000, so we will work those details out. But the rest of the agencies, we estimate the external agencies' cost will be about $10,500 of the total ask, so that money would be coming back to the county from those outside agencies, and then we would install the software on their computers. The reason the county cares is because all of our users within the county, security impacts everybody. So if we have an old, outdated office product out at the Transit or at the Charlton Park or these other locations, that has security implications for the rest of us. They're going to send us emails if they send an email that's compromised because there are no more security patches for an old version of Office, or they get infected because they don't have the current security patches because Microsoft won't continue to patch a product of this age. The best real-world equivalent I can think of is you happen to own a 1986 Buick. Buick has not decided they're going to continue to manufacture parts for those vehicles forever, and that's the way that Microsoft views these legacy software products. They're not going to continue to patch them. They're not going to make sure that you're protected from these vulnerabilities beyond their 10-year life cycle. So they've said, this is as far as we're going to go with this legacy product. It's time for you to find something that is getting patched and is more modern. If you choose not to do that, you're accepting the risks that go along with not having those security patches and vulnerabilities fixed.
So quick follow-up, so this is for the county, it's not just for those?
Yep, this is for everybody. The attempt on the agenda request was to communicate to those agencies that have alternative funding sources will be contributing back to the county to cover the costs of those purchases, but we would still like them to be modernized.
Thank you.
Okay. No further questions? The chair will entertain a motion for approval for purchase of 170 Office 2024 standard licenses and 8 Office 2024 Professional Plus licenses.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Colton, support by Bassett for approval for the purchase of 170 Office 2024 standard licenses and 8 Office 2024 Professional Plus licenses. Additional discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Dennison.
Aye.
Bassett.
Aye.
Colton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
And Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Matt. Mary, waiting so patiently for us.
I've been trying.
First to arrive this morning in the beautiful weather, so
How are you guys today?
Awesome, thank you.
So I'm here for the resolution of intent, so just a couple of updates. We did over 80,000 rides last year, and we received a Michigan Impact Transit Award for Innovative Project. We are now open on Sundays doing church, and we just implemented a dispatcher software along with a rider app that allows people to download the app and to schedule their own rides and cancel their own rides. So a lot of big things, a lot of, organized chaos, but a good year. Do you guys have any questions for me?
80,000 rides. And this is resolution of intent to file, designate Mary Bassett to sign the contracts. These are the Act 51 contracts that we continue to work
Correct.
with.
All the funding that we received from state and federal.
State and federal, okay. And this is a yearly thing we do, Commissioners. I think most of you have seen this before. Questions for Mary? Questions about transit? Questions about the weather?
It's cold. It is very, very cold. But transit will be running. That makes you feel better.
There you go.
I'm impressed that you've initiated getting an app for your phone, because that's just the way that
It's the way we're
people are
going.
familiar with working.
It's something that
I'm going to download it.
we always wanted to do, and we took the opportunity to do it with the new software. It gave us that capability. You know, everything has its own little kinks, but now that the kinks are starting to work out, the feedback we get from being able to utilize that app, seeing their rides, being able to cancel it when they want to, gives them more control, and more control on the rider side gives us less chaos. So, good things all around.
Does the app allow them to track the bus locations? so
They
see
can,
when it
yep.
is?
And it'll also give IVR call-outs, which is sort of like from our doctor's appointments. They'll get a call-out the night before, reminding them of their ride, and it'll also give them a link, so if they want to cancel it, they can cancel it from right there. So it cuts back on call volume too, people wondering about their rides. But that's exactly so they can track it and have more security. When people have more control over their old lives, then they feel more safe and more comfortable.
Okay. Was that an expensive program to install, or was that covered under our federal and state dollars as well?
We paid for it out of local funds, but in the long run, compared to other software companies, we were getting more than what we would have with the other software companies. So.
Okay. Additional questions for Mary? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion for adoption of Resolution 20-26-06 for fiscal year 2027, a resolution of intent to apply for state formula operating assistance under Act 51 of Public Acts of 1951 as amended, to name Transportation Director Mary Bassett as the official representative for all public transportation matters, who is authorized to provide such information as deemed necessary by the State Transportation Commission or Department for its administration of Act 51, and sign and execute all agreements and documents. I'm only reading that one once, so who wants to make the motion? Motion by Smelker, support by?
Support.
By Tunison. Motion by Smelker, support by Tunison. Additional questions or comments? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Colton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Smelter.
Aye.
Tennyson.
Aye.
Bassett.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
And Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved.
Thank you. Stay
you, Mary.
warm. Have a good day, you guys.
Appreciate the update. It's all good news. Next on our agenda, the appointment of our deputy medical examiner. This is something we've done from time to time as medical examiners kind of come and go and are reinstituted. So I think we've done one of these as recently as last year. I know we typically see them for their annual appointment. So this is Berry County is required by state law to provide a medical examiner services and to appoint a medical examiner and deputy medical examiner to fulfill those duties as prescribed by state law. So we are just changing and updating our medical examiner to appoint Dr. Anna Tart and deputy medical examiner for Berry County. So
moved.
Support.
all right. As motion by Hatfield, support by Smelker for approval to appoint Dr. Anna Tart as deputy medical examiner for Berry County, effective immediately. Discussion. Madam Clerk, would you call a roll?
Campbell.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Smelter.
Aye.
Tennyson.
Aye.
Bassett.
Aye.
Colton.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
And Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved. And last on our agenda, we have a request to submit to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. They publish annual grants for assessment. Berry County has been awarded $300,000 on a couple different occasions for brownfield assessment grants. This year, our consultant with SME and Berry County Chamber and Economic Development Alliance are suggesting the county reapply in this cycle for a $500,000 grant, as we have pretty much used up most of the $300,000 grant that we've had working on for the last 3 years. So at this point, like I said, This is just approval for the application for the grant. We won't know if we're going to receive this yet for probably several months down the road, but the Brownfield program has been working very well. We've been able to address several sites throughout the county and continue to look at those things for removing tanks, asbestos, all kinds of things. Middleville's been the recipient of several Brownfield projects recently, so it's been good for the county. Questions? Chair would entertain a motion to approve the submission of a $500,000 grant to the U.S. EPA Community-Wide Brownfield Grant and authorize the county administrator to sign all necessary documents.
So moved.
Support. Motion by Getty, support by Hatfield for the approval of the submission of a $500,000 grant to the U.S. EPA Community-Wide Brownfield Grant and authorize the county administrator to sign all necessary documents. Additional questions or discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Getty?
Aye.
Smelter?
Aye.
Tennyson?
Aye.
Bassett?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye. I think he asked for me, and you answered.
Purvis, Isler Campbell? Hatfield?
Aye.
And Jackson?
Aye. You guys can't switch seats and personalities just yet. Thank you. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, we have none. County administrator's report. Our county administrator is not with us this morning unless Jeff has something he would like to add.
I do not.
Okay. Chairperson's report, I am all set. Vice Chairperson's report, Commissioner Hatfield.
Well, the main thing I want to comment on is that I did attend the Chamber Economic Development Alliance annual dinner along with Commissioner Getty. Very nice evening, but most importantly, some very nice recognition for Commissioner Bassett, recognizing all of her efforts in the Delton community with a variety of projects. So it was nice to see her get that and be able to be there to congratulate her. So we should also do
Well done,
likewise.
Commissioner Bassett. We appreciate that.
I would also comment that at the city council meeting last night, the discussions with Rutland continue. The city has now responded with a markup on the proposed 425 agreement. So that's back in Rutland's hands. Probably continue to be some further discussions to iron out some of the final issues that are open with that agreement. But we anticipate that Meyer will be presenting a site plan to the Joint Planning Commission either February or March. So.
Okay. Does Meyer get a copy of that agreement as well, or is that strictly city and Rutland at this point?
It's city and Rutland, but Myers is involved in the discussions.
Okay. Good to see that finally coming to fruition after a few months' pause, so. Because people keep asking.
Yes.
When are they going to inflate the Myers? And
right.
So, all right, Commissioner reports. Commissioner Tennyson.
I don't really have anything on that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Campbell.
Just I visited CAA last night, and tomorrow I'll have DHS in Thornapple, and it's been kind of chilly.
That it has been. Commissioner Bassett.
Not much. I got a conservation board meeting tonight.
Okay. Commissioner Colton.
Transit yesterday, Commission on Aging today.
Okay. Commissioner Getty.
I have Village Middleville tonight, and last week's Parks Board meeting was canceled due to weather, so we have that this Thursday. We'll see if the weather holds.
Commissioner Smelker.
I attended Transit with Commissioner Colton. We have some dates set up for negotiation meetings coming up, and we're having a fair amount of security meetings with the Security Committee and Subcommittee. And there will be talks with you at a later date on what the subcommittee comes up with.
Okay. And one thing that I would add, Commissioner Tennyson, Commissioner Getty, and myself attended a meeting out at the Commission on Aging last Thursday, just to cover some of the final details of what's going on in the building process. Still having a little bit of a tennis match with MDOT as far as where our driveway can go, how we're going to fund all that, whether we need passing lanes or road flares. Project is moving along amazing. They've got it very well documented what the stages they're working on, so I was very impressed with everybody involved in that, so I appreciate your input on that. I know you were involved in that as well, so that's moving along famously, so I didn't garner from that, or my memory didn't tell me what their completion date was, but hopefully sometime this summer. Is that the goal?
Summer 2026 is...
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Chair, one thing on that, though, just before I forget about it, one of the exciting things was that Harvest Point's going to start doing the Meals on Wheels for our seniors, and that was very good news. I think that was wonderful, the fact that they've got that worked out, because now they're going to start getting some really good, nutritious meals delivered to them.
Well, not only cost savings, but local.
Yeah.
So delivered fresh versus were they coming from Grand Rapids before or something like that?
And they had to rewarm them and all that stuff. One more thing on that. The construction management firm, Frederick, I think they praised them pretty well too, for the fact that they've caught some things like with the transit buses, the weight being on the pavement would tear it up, right? So they've come to realize that, before the fact, they can now pour concrete with rebar and stuff like that, make it a little thicker so that it will save everything when the transit buses turn around. So, and that was a good catch by Greg from Frederick. Becky and Courtney all worked together very well out there, and they had a lot of praise for Frederick, the construction management team. So,
excellent.
One thing I'll mention, this does not immediately impact us, but it will in the long run. The main reason I was not able to attend the COA meeting with the rest of you last week was because I was in a city brownfield meeting dealing with a TIF application on a proposed new residential development up on the north side of Hastings. The state has modified the brownfield regulations as it pertains to TIFs, and now any residential project qualifies for brownfield TIF funding. So no longer has to be a brownfield if it's residential development. And I think that this, is certainly one of the tools that's being looked at with the project in Delton, but it's hard to imagine that there'll be any residential project in the county, or the state for that matter, that will not try to incorporate TIF financing. It's going to be important that every municipality develops a policy as to how that TIF is going to be used. I think there's a growing recognition that you can't pass on all of those funds to the developer, that the municipalities need to hold on to some of that because there are costs associated with providing infrastructure and future services. So it'll be interesting to see how those discussions go. We're also going to be impacted by that, and we'll need to likewise develop a policy that will govern how we will allow it to be used.
Yeah, this is kind of the state's response to helping fund more residential housing to take care of some of the housing crisis.
Yes.
But as we heard in our economic summit, they also anticipate this kind of balancing itself out in the next 3 years. So I wonder what the play will be at that point, if they're going to pull back some of that.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes. But in the meantime, we're probably going to see several of these come across our desk.
Several.
So, good information. Thank you. Commissioner Smoker.
Is there a minimum of residents in the project? If I build a new house, I can't get TIF, right?
No.
It's me.
You could try.
Yeah.
It'd have to pass this board.
Yes. There are affordability requirements in, a certain percentage of the project will need to be low-mod workforce eligible, but that's one of the things that a municipality's policy needs to address. What are going to be the requirements? Doesn't have to be 100%. The project that the city is looking at will be somewhere between 10 and 20%. Their policy actually, I believe, requires 20%, but there are some unusual aspects to that project that may provide an incentive for the city to back off of the 20 for a lower amount in order to be able to provide some fairly significant infrastructure to that whole part of town, not just this project. I.e., main component of that is there's going to be a need for another water tower in the city of Hastings to serve that northern quadrant.
Haven't seen the Copper Rock development on Mill Street? It's a wow.
Yeah, it is a wow. Drive down Mill Street. It's amazing.
You can drive down Main Street and see it.
Yes, you can.
It is a wow.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for 3 minutes. And we thank you, public, for coming out today in this beautiful weather.
You'll get a bill.
We'll get a bill.
And slippery roads. I just also want to let you know, Catherine, that your microphone either isn't on when you talk, and you're so quiet. Just a side note, 'cause I want to hear what you say. The first comment is on the jail feasibility study. I've talked to several of you, and I know you guys are frustrated too. So there were about 50 people in attendance at BICE's presentation, and where they said it would be, there were two options, I think 15 and 20 million. I wasn't there. And then I had heard there was an email sent to Chair Jackson and possibly others shortly after, stating they had made a mistake, and there was possibly a 300-whatever-page report coming, and the cost would be $42 million, which I think we all kind of expected in the first place. So I submitted a FOIA for that report, and I do understand that report has not been sent to the commissioners or to Eric, because Eric said it does, Eric Zuzga, sorry if I'm saying that correctly, but he said it doesn't exist yet. So I'm guessing by now the firm never sent that report. The presentation was early December. It's now end of January. So they identified and explained what their error was. So I'm wondering when the commissioners and the public might be presented with this new report and new cost. And I will say this 23-page report that Eric sent me, on the last page, it says down here, current 320 pages. So I know it's there somewhere, this 320-page report, and you guys should have that. If I don't mean you should have it and give it to us, I mean they should have sent it to you by now. Frustrating, I know, for all of us. So I just wanted to send the request to you folks that maybe you put pressure on this firm to share this info. Second topic, oh boy, 52 seconds, is the Pung versus Isabella County. Again, our county administrator, I believe this came from Isabella County, sent to all treasurers. So I will share with you, Bay County did share the email that they got from Isabella requesting funds. Benzie County shared a slightly redacted 3-page letter they got from Isabella's law firm. And Isabella County shared 2 emails they received from Eric. First one, in November, I'll be recommending to the Berry County Commission that we contribute the $4,000 requested. We will add it to our next meeting agenda on December 9th. And then Eric's second email, unfortunately, I cannot get this support through the commission at this time. I wish you luck, and we'll reach out if this ever changes. I'm concerned that our administrator is really quick to spend our taxpayer money on a lawsuit that doesn't even involve our county. So I'm kind of hoping when his review comes up that it's remembered. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Additional public comment?
Larry Bass, Carlton Township, and before I start, this is not meant to criticize anybody at all. And I spoke about this briefly at the last Bedhead meeting, but as a resident and taxpayer of Berry County, I find it reprehensible that the Bedhead fees have increased to the rates they are now. We should not have to pay the price for Eaton County's ability to manage your budget. And based on Michigan's Public Health Code, there is no specific state law that mandates identical fees for each county within a multi-county district health department. You may want to check MCL 333.2444. That would indicate that local control still has the final say. Based on this, I think it's time to start seriously talking about separation. Going one way. I don't see Eaton County getting well very soon, and we should not have to pay the price. Now, I understand that even with the subsidies, and the money's been set aside, it's still going to have a potential of $76,000 per year. You got a jail coming up. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. We have a jail coming up. Every dollar is important. So to if you spend money like this, as a citizen, I can't agree with. The other ones I have are observations. I think it's time to start developing a city ordinance to control the extent we can of data centers. We need to inhibit the development of the data centers in our county. We must be proactive rather than wait. Berry County has a moderate to high probability of getting a data center. We cannot ban them because of ban on exclusionary zoning. So I think it's important we hit the ground running on this because it'll be here before we know it if we're not ready. So if we would do that, I would certainly appreciate it. Commissioners are now meeting twice a month. If possible, I'd like to revisit that schedule. Under the old format with the cows, a constituent had time to contact their commissioner and state a preference on a particular topic. If they chose not to, that's their problem. But the ability was there. As a side note, Bedhead's only meeting every other month now. To tie down to on the jail, the estimate went up from $25 million to $42 million. That's a nasty surprise. I hope there's some sort of a penalty that's applied to the consultants that were so far off base. When they made the presentation, they mentioned 20 to 25. That's incomprehensible. And on a better note, starting Friday, I'm under doctor's orders to spend 6 weeks in Hilton Head recovering, so you guys will not have to put up with me. Thank you very much.
So watch us online? At least? Say it isn't so, or give us an invitation, one or the other.
It's going to be 40 degrees when I get there, so.
I can go for 40 degrees.
That's 50 better than it is here.
Yeah. Additional public comment? Hearing none. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Bassett.
I forgot to mention that we did have the interviews of the 5 candidates for the opioid settlement funds. So we're moving along with that and hopefully have a recommendation back to the board soon.
Awesome. Commissioner Colton?
Nothing.
Commissioner Getty?
Nothing.
Commissioner Smith?
Nothing.
Mr. Tunison?
One more thing about the COA. So we have the current building up there, right? So that's viable property for development. So there's going to be a little bit of added cost to that out there to COA with this MDOT thing. This MDOT thing basically is forcing people's hand to spend money on turn lane or wide out passing lanes, right? So we need to take a look at getting that up for sale up there. I mean, I don't think it would hurt to get it surveyed and get it split off and see if there's interest in it, right? So,
Yes.
anyway, yeah, John.
Sure.
This driveway that goes into the COA right now, that is going to be a driveway to that whole project, right? They're not going to be putting another driveway in there if we put other buildings up in there.
There's two options. You want to talk about this, Mr. Chair, or you want me to?
Do you want the long story or the longer story?
The shortest one you can give me.
The COA initially designed a driveway that goes directly to the building, shortest distance. Well-designed. MDOT stepped in after the fact and said, we don't like your driveway where it is, and if you want to keep it there, then we want you to put turn lanes in for traffic coming both directions at a cost of about $350,000, which was not budgeted for. When we looked at this, we said it might be a better idea, if we're going to look long-term at the rest of that property, to move that driveway down 100 yards or so to better access the rest of that property and still make a direct path into the new COA facility at roughly the same cost. So the question is that some of that rework, some of the temporary driveway, there's some additional cost in there, and just in conversations with Courtney about who's going to pay for that. If the county, in fact, is going to use that property and put the driveway in, should that be at our expense, their expense, shared expense? So we're working through some of those details right now, in addition to trying to keep MDOT happy with not using passing lanes, using flares, which are shorter turnoffs versus, so it's been entertaining. Is that totally confuse you yet?
No, I believe that eventually that ground out there will be used, and will be used for something besides COA also.
Well, if you move it to the west, farther towards, then you can get away with a turn lane. You can just have the flare-outs on both sides, okay? But you got the added cost of getting the driveway from that point back to the COA, which there might be a possible avenue here that the road commission, it's been suggested that we talk to Jake, and they might be able to do the project considerably lower. There's no guarantee of that, but they're at least going to take a look at it. They've got the equipment. They've done this numerous times, so we're exploring every option that's possible to try to save money on this, right? But it's something that the state is mandating, basically, that one way or another, there's going to be a cost. Okay?
The state's also said they're not interested in us having an additional driveway in there in the future.
Exactly.
So we need to think about this long-term, that if we're going to put a driveway in, let's do one that serves the entire property.
That's the whole thing, is that the long-term, right? If they only say we can only have one access, one-time deal, then it makes more sense to go to the west.
They're not being very user-friendly in the whole thing, but we're working with them, so. Anyways, but I do like the idea of talking to the road commission with Jake to see if we can have some cost savings in there as well. So more to come on that also. Thank you. Commissioner Campbell?
I'm all set, thank you.
All set. Hatfield? Just a few comments. On data centers, I agree with that thought. We've already had a conversation with both the board chair for planning and zoning and Jeff in planning and zoning about making that a priority, to look at that as far as if there is a data center, we'd like to have something in place that says where we want them in the county and how we want them. There's mega centers and there's minor centers, so we do want to get ahead of that, so I agree with that. As far as the jail goes, I think I share the disappointment. I thought the meeting went very well, and the information from the consultant was very good, but they got in a question and answer that they got off track on. and they were looking at, I mean, we all heard pieces of like, okay, it's $100,000 per cell. All right, if there's 72 beds, that's 7.2 million. Pretty simple math. Well, we need building, and there's so many different things that go into it, and they came out with a number of between 15 and 20 million. And our previous conversations had been somewhere in that 38 to 42 million. And having done this now for the second time, when we were talking about a 120-bed facility 8 years ago, maybe a little longer, and they were talking about 25 million, the bells went off like this doesn't make sense with the numbers they're throwing out here. So we asked for some clarification, and they gave us the news that they were still speculating in the 38 to 42 million range. So I've asked for basically a shopping list of what things actually cost, which they have not been able to provide at this point. I'm planning on either doing some road trips and meeting with some of the actual builders and drilling down a little deeper to get some details, because I don't feel like I'm educated enough to know what the consultant's telling us versus what an actual builder like Granger might tell us. So we're going to do some more research on this. We are also planning to have the consultants come in and do an entire presentation on their findings. I know Shelley has asked for the 300-page report, and I've looked through all my files and notes, and there is no such report at this point. Now, whether the consultants compiled 300 pages and condensed it into 42 and sent us what they have, that's possible. I don't know, but there's no 300-page report that any of us have at this point, unless one of you is hiding it from me and not telling me, but I haven't seen anything. So as soon as we get it, I don't mind sharing information with you. This is a big project that involves the entire county, so we don't want to hide anything from you that way. But I appreciate your patience as we work through it. Had they come back and said they could build a jail for $15.9 million, we would already be breaking ground. So we'd have been moving on with that. But that was not the case, as we kind of suspected. So, but again, thank you for coming out in the weather today. I appreciate all the information, the details, the sheriff for that and involved information as well. So be safe out there. It's not going to be a great day. So we are adjourned.